Welcome to another episode of The Velvet Hammer.
And here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Today we have something a little bit different from our normal CLE setup, so we're excited to bring this to you. It's a live Velvet Hammer podcast episode and streaming from our studio at Strip Matter Law in Seattle. So welcome to the Velvet Hammer's journey through bias, marginalization, and systemic inequities. I'm Cassie Slugich, Director of Outreach and Marketing at Strip Matter Law. As many of you know, Strip Matter Law is licensed by the Washington State Bar Association as CLE sponsor, and today's session is pending approval for one ethics equity credit. To receive credit, please stick around until the end. We'll put your bar number in the chat. Okay, so our presenters today are Koehler and Mo Hamoudi, co-hosts of the Velvet Hammer podcast, available on all major platforms. This year, they also launched the show on YouTube with the help of our sound and audio engineer and producer, Mike Todd. So you'll notice that set up here today, and you'll hear Mike as well. Karen is our senior managing partner. Mo is a partner who handles civil rights and complex litigation. Together, they bring honesty and clarity to conversations about bias and inequity that affect the BIPOC trial lawyers in Washington courts. So please join me in welcoming Karen, Mo, and Mike.
Okay.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Another podcast. This is like our 40-something.
Yeah,
this year?
49 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering, Mike never shows up. He's our disembodied voice of wisdom.
Yes.
All right. Well, today we have a special topic that we pretty much talk about all the time anyway. Marginalization, systemic inequities. What was the third one? Something.
Bias.
Yeah. So I do have a story for you.
Okay. Tell me your story.
Oh, I have so many stories.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. I always thought that I would grow out of being thought not to be a lawyer. I always thought that. Like when I was 25, I thought, okay, I get why people don't think I'm a lawyer. I get it. But 40 years later, I don't
It's still
get it.
happening.
With this, maybe not as much frequency, but regular. So yesterday, I was here at the office and we were getting ready for a video deposition of a client of mine in person because the state decided they wanted to come in person. And I walked into the conference room. It was our formal conference room upstairs.
Yeah.
Beautiful conference room with the giant antique and all of that. And they had the gray screen set up at the end of the table for the client. I told the client, don't come in yet. I want to check out everything. And one of the lawyers was getting ready to sit right next to that person, and the court reporter was on. So the court reporter had been on the left of the deponent, and the defense lawyer was going to be on the right. And I said, well, that's where I'm going to sit. I said, you need to sit on the other side of the table down there because I need to sit next to my client. At which point the court reporter said, are you the interpreter?
Ouch.
And now,
How old was the court reporter? Estimate.
late 40s,
Okay.
Man or woman?
female.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, now this was slightly surprising to me, but not shocking.
Okay.
Because my career has been spent being mistaken for the court reporter.
No, I know.
But to have the court reporter then ask if I was the interpreter.
That's why I was asking about our age and
my client. I said, my client. Like, what is confusing about that?
I mean, I guess you can think that an interpreter would call that person a client. That's a stretch for me, but I guess you could say that.
No. You couldn't.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
You couldn't. And the thing is, so if this was a one-off, then that would be that. But I have a history of this, of people not realizing I'm the attorney because I don't fit a stereotype of what an attorney is. And we've talked about this in the podcast. So many examples of, you're not the court reporter, and the court reporter being there and then them saying, well, the court reporter is already here. You can't come in. Like,
The
I'm not
receptionist
court reporter.
chasing you down to the
Yeah.
conference room because she
Yes.
thought you weren't the attorney either.
The judge leaning over the bench
Speaking
day
down to
2
you.
of the trial and saying, "Are you an attorney?
hmm
What else would I be?" These things are commonplace for me and for many other lawyers, but not certain other lawyers. Mo has never had this happen, and Mo is not white, although he looks like he's Mo from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He sounds like Mo from Brooklyn. That's
He's like he's Italian. Do the Italian.
Well, what are you talking about?
There you go. There you go. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about is that.
Yeah.
And tell him what he was upset.
Well,
He was more upset than I was.
Oh, were you there when it happened?
No, but
I did
she
tell her.
came and told me, and I
Okay.
was furious, and I was
But he was he was covering an expert deposition.
I was doing a deposition, and I felt the need to step up and do something at the risk of mosplaining, so I didn't.
He didn't.
But later on, I sent her a note and said, "This is what I wanted to do, but I didn't because you've commented to me that you wish me not to splain as much, and so I kept my mouth shut." And I just was sort of there for her. And I said, "I'm sorry you experienced
No,
that."
he was, but you were stewing.
I was stewing. And I was really thinking about it. And I was thinking about it. And I think it's important because we're seeking a CLE equity credit to provide a little broader background.
Okay, do it.
Okay. It's important to understand that the Washington State Bar Association has conducted an extensive data collection campaign and survey to try to figure out whether or not the practice of law is diverse. Like, they're diverse enough lawyers. And they learned some staggering information that it's woefully not diverse.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
This is not a news flash.
Well, I understand it's not a news flash, but when you have an institution that is a professional organization take on the affirmative task of doing an objective data collection
but they've
campaign.
done this before. They've done it over the years. I've got statistics.
Okay.
Nothing ever changes.
Well, I know, but we got to lay some groundwork here.
Okay, not that
and is that they have put together a commission to address this.
Okay.
And so and part of the commission's objective is
what's the name of it?
It's the Washington State Bar Association. It's got a diversity and equity.
Know.
No, it is. But they've done it. They're making the progress. And so what I'm saying is that
what progress are they making?
But well, if you let me finish.
Mike is laughing.
If you let me
You sound
finish.
so institutional.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that they have a committee, they're putting together plans and they're trying to do things. But I think that part of, and having been on a diversity committee, DEI committee, is that you aspire to do things. And then how the hell does a committee like that address an issue like what she experienced yesterday? That to me is so context specific because she is right. That would not have happened to me. So there's a part of what happened, I think, yesterday was that, if you meet Karen in person, she is smaller in stature. She has dark features, and she's obviously a woman. And she does not necessarily dress when she shows up to things in your traditional lawyer garb.
I was wearing a jacket.
I know, but it's not like so what I'm saying is that all of these biases are in this person's mind.
Oh, I know that.
Right. And then so re-educating the person who is suffering from the bias is a task that I don't know if organizations can directly address. Like, I don't know what you do to deal with that. Like, I don't know, unless you confront her. What did you say to her when you said, I'm a lawyer? I'm not. What happened?
No, I didn't say. So I used to be more surprised or less. I didn't used to have any like negative energy, anger coming out.
Yeah.
It used to be more inward, like, oh, I guess I don't look like a lawyer. Oh, I guess I don't act like a lawyer. Oh, I guess I'm not lawyer-ish enough.
That's what you thought yesterday?
No, when I was a newer lawyer.
A newer lawyer. Okay.
Younger lawyer,
Okay.
which is,
Yeah.
And then I was in my 30s. And then I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
And then I was in my 50s, and here I am in my 60s, still confronted with the same stuff. So I don't approach it the same way anymore.
Mhm.
So how do you approach it now?
So I don't look inward and say, I guess I just don't look enough like a lawyer. I have to do is talk to me, and you can tell like I'm something.
Yeah.
Like I think I belong there. I feel very comfortable in my arena. I try not to lash out. She said that to me, and I looked at her dead in the face, which normally I wouldn't. Like I'd be smiling, or I'd try to like make light of it, or, be kind about it. I'm no longer kind. And I said, plaintiff lawyer. And then I just never smiled at her again.
What was her response when you said plaintiff lawyer?
Nothing.
She didn't speak after that?
No.
She didn't say anything.
No.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, I'm so sorry. And in all fairness, interpreters do a very important job. When people call me the court reporter, I don't think that I'm being denigrated because they think I'm the court reporter. I'm being denigrated because they don't think that I'm just the lawyer.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Like court reporters have value.
Yes.
So do interpreters.
So do interpreters.
Yes, those are honorable jobs. They're good jobs, but that's just not what I am.
Okay, but then is this more of a institutional problem, or is this more a personal problem? That's what I was sort of thinking about, right? Because in my view, it's like, but I'm thinking like, is this an institutional or a personal thing?
No.
Because what you just did,
answer that question.
I'm asking you how you
answer
felt.
that question.
I'm not going to answer that question because I'll be most blamed.
Mike, answer the question.
It's both, for that matter.
Okay.
If you wanted to say whether or not, but for me, it's kind of like if you went into a bank and somebody was walking across the bank lobby, would you think that they were the bank manager?
You know what? I immediately, when you said that, I thought of like a white guy in a suit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You know what
I'm not even giving, but you thought.
But I just thought of a white guy in a suit.
So when people come in and ask Karen, let me back this up a little bit. Ones that we've talked about in the past, ones that happened to you when you were younger, ones that happened to you when you were earlier on in your career. I hate to make excuses, but that was a different time. People were a little bit more biased back then, I would say. And we've established that the practice of law has traditionally been a male-dominated field. So I'm not excusing any of that behavior, but at that time, it didn't surprise me, is what I would say.
Yeah.
But having it happen yesterday.
Yeah, that was
from someone who should have, in my opinion, like whenever I walk into a room like that, when I've had to go to depositions or any type of professional setting, I'll walk in and say who I am because I know you might be an attorney. You might be an attorney.
Yeah.
And you guys are the ones who are kind of in charge of that meeting. So it makes sense to do that. That person has been doing depositions forever, and she's biased because most of the people that come into that room are dudes.
Yeah.
Big white guys.
Yeah.
And so she automatically assumed that Karen was someone that would be in that room, which it could have been a paralegal. It could have been an attorney. It could have been an interpreter. All of those things are possible. But she automatically thought that Karen wasn't an attorney.
So that's the institutional problem.
But that's also personal.
Okay. Help me differentiate, because to me,
there is no difference. There is no difference.
But the institutional problem, I think, is that, which is what the Washington State Bar Association says, the bar is not diverse enough. The consequence of that is you have somebody expect a type of lawyer to walk in.
Yes.
And then that drove the biased behavior, which is look at Karen and go, oh, you're the interpreter. So help me understand how that is a personal problem.
Well, each person themselves has the opportunity throughout their lives to not be biased in that way.
Okay.
She accepts the institutional bias as what is true.
Okay. Now,
or at least that's the way that I see it.
So how would you, what would have been the appropriate response from her when, at least an acceptable response, would an apology have been enough? I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake.
It wasn't a terrible mistake. It wasn't life or death. It wasn't a terrible mistake.
It's a small mistake. That's the thing.
Okay.
And the thing about it is, for a person that is subject to that all the time. There are those, you hear the term micro wounding or whatever. It's like just another little cut.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal. Like, I'm not going to get mad at her. There's an accumulation of it, though. It's accumulated within me that, like, at some point, I always thought, like, okay, she's obviously the lawyer, but that will never happen at this point.
No.
I've come to terms with that.
Yeah.
And it's not a unique to the lawyers. I remember.
No, this is with anybody. Yeah.
There was a, okay, we talk about a lot of stuff on our podcast. One of my many dating histories, I dated orthopedic surgeon, and they had a new orthopedic surgeon in there. Not that new, but it was a fellow, I believe.
Yeah.
So you have to be resident, you have to be fellow, so that you're there for a long time. He was Black. They changed their policy. This is systemic.
Yeah.
So that doctors had to have a badge that said, "I'm a doctor," because no one would think he was the doctor.
Yeah.
The patients all thought that he was a nurse or an orderly, or like nobody would think that they were the doctor. And so this is at Harborview. Their solution was to label people as doctors or not. I mean, it is a pervasive problem, and I don't know what the solution is. I think awareness is good, but to me, what helps is for other people to know, like, oh, she's really good at her job. She's been doing it for 40 years, and people still think that she's the court reporter, the interpreter, or the household help. And that at least is comforting to know that, okay, it's not you. That's what the hard thing is for me. If I was younger now, I would be very disappointed, because when you are a newer, younger attorney and people don't think you're attorney, you internalize that. And it also happens at your job. Like, well, I guess I don't speak loudly enough. My voice isn't deep enough. I was told by many people that I could not be a real trial lawyer because I don't do what trial lawyers do. Yeah. I can't fill up the space big enough. My voice is too high, all this crap. That's not true. So that's what I have to say.
I mean, this has happened to me too. And I'm not, I'm not someone of a professional nature or whatever, but, I've done various things for this firm. And when I've gotten to the places that I was supposed to go, I've had people treat me like I wasn't working for you guys, treat me like I wasn't important.
Well, and isn't that just true? Like, we're looking at this microcosm of like, oh, boo-hoo, I'm an attorney and people don't know that I'm an attorney. Like, that's why it's like almost embarrassing to talk about it, and you don't really want to, but it should be, which is why we're doing it.
Yeah. Versus
just like the disrespect that you have to deal with as doing your job, and you're going to have to deal with that. Like that court reporter, I guarantee you, she probably gets disrespected more than I get disrespected.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about here for this purpose of this seminar is the bias in the practice of law, the marginalization that results from that, being othered. And as a person who, in trial lawyer, where there's, white male braggadocio, you only talk about the wins, you never talk about the losses. You invite all your buddies to join your clubs. It is an elitist society, plaintiff law, where there are so many specialty bars or invitation-only bars. I've been in clubs where they said, well, we have terrible diversity. I'd be like one of 3 women in a 100-person club across the US. Which I love that club. And what did they say when we talked about diversity? Well, we want to stay small. I mean, my best friends are in here. You want to be with who you look like by nature, I guess. And this is not back in the 80s or 90s, right? That's now. Why are there so many invitation-only clubs? Why do you have to be invited to join a BOTA? Why do you have to, what is it about us that makes us, just yearn to be in these elite organizations where we pay $700 to $2,000 a year to go to dinner once a year and then just put a sticker underneath our name and say that, we belong to this elite club. Law is elitist.
I don't know if that's, I mean, yes, law is elitist, but I was going to say that most professional jobs in a way end up being elitist.
Yes, but
doctors have the same kind of groups.
The thing about it is like lawyers and the Constitution and the rule of the law, we should be like leaders.
It's true.
And we are some of the totally not leaders when it comes to issues of systemic marginalization.
I'm just sort of
exclusion.
You're talking about this. I'm focusing on the legal profession that, like, by nature, we're an organization of professionals and we are licensed. And to belong to this organization, you have to go through a process. And that includes going to law school and passing an examination and passing a character examination and getting references. So it is discriminating in nature.
Wait, time out. Who are you right now?
I am being Mo, thinking about what you just said about like the reality of what we do is that our organization discriminates in nature. Now, whether or not it discriminates by criteria that's like race, gender, and stuff is a different. But by nature, we are discriminating. We don't let everybody into the organization. We have criteria. And then when we get into the organization and we become lawyers, there are subgroups. People are creating their own homogenous groups. And so we have these ABOTA. We have organizations I belong to, the Federal Bar Association. We have diversity bar associations, Warren Miller. Everybody is trying to figure out how they can create power as a group. And they do so in a way that discriminates. They associate through relationships, professional influence, money.
And it's celebrated to be in these groups.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, like, I want to say that there is a positive aspect.
Can I just say one thing?
What?
Quick? So I was talking to Paul, Street Matter. I'm like, Paul, there's like 10 groups you belong to. Paul is 83 and he's still practicing. But not like full time. And I'm like, do we still need to keep paying these, $7,000 or $8,000 worth of dues a year for these? What do you get out of these organizations? And he says, well, honestly, I just always kept them because I felt that they were good for my, my bio, my presence, and I'm like, I don't think anybody really cares. What value do you get from it? And he said he got no value from it. It was like he didn't go to anything. He didn't. Now, when he was younger, he participated in them, which was going to the dinner. But they are like, you're collecting these badges of honor from organizations that celebrate what?
I wanted to ask too, do you really, like, you call them badges of honor, do you really think they're badges of honor if you have to pay to get them?
Well, some of them are definitely, like, there's some organizations, and I've been in some of them where the lawyers are really good, and it's really fun in a lot of ways to be with really good lawyers. The problem is they become so insular. And then those insular groups are picking other people, often
that's a problem,
offspring or people from their firms or people that look like them. And obviously bar associations in particular, firms are making, or were before recent events, trying to be more diverse in their selection or have some diversity, but in general failing. I mean, still the plaintiff bar, I've always looked at the statistics. That's why these statistics from the WSBA, I've been keeping track of them since I was a lawyer. They were single digits for most racial minority types here. Then they didn't even count, like me, like Mo, he's half Iranian, half Iraqi. I'm half Asian, half not Asian. But they didn't even count, mixed race people, even in the United States Senate census until, what was it, 70s, 80s, 90s?
I don't know.
I think it was after I was well after I was born. There's so little progress that has been made. And then it's like, well, we just need more racial diversity in the bar. Then it was like, okay, well, it has to be the pipeline. And then it's been all this stuff, right? And I don't think we should give up on that. I think that's good, but we also have to look at how we run our own organizations. They're very non-diverse.
Well, that's what I was going to say. In answer to your question earlier on, Mo, what can change the institutional bias? I think the only way that it can be changed is doing what we've done here. I mean, I remember when I started here, it was all white guys and Karen. And Karen started working on changing that, right? I mean, she was there a couple of years before I started, but I knew right away that she was trying to change the lineup of the firm.
And it took a long time because I had no power to do that.
No. And I think that if more firms did that, if more firms focused on trying to break out of the traditional law firm mode, that's where you're going to get the change. Now, it's never going to stop. I mean, there's always going to be people that, are running on autopilot. Like you said, she probably didn't mean to do that. She was just doing her thing.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of bias isn't going to change until there's more people like you guys that they see when they walk into the deposition.
Well, about an hour or two after that deposition was over, I got an email from Jack Guthrie, who was second chair. He was like he wasn't even a 10-year lawyer in the Ride the Ducks case. He was second chair of one of the 4 defendants. I was a first chair, and we were going through courtroom TSA in Missouri, and they stopped me and told me I couldn't bring my cell phone in. And I was with Jack, and they thought I was his client. So he was reminiscing about,
when that happened.
He was so embarrassed that it happened. Sure. I was just like, again, like it's the same reaction. Like, it's just like, well, there it goes again. But he was so embarrassed. I can just remember him just cringing, and every time people say, well, it's not like it used to be in the old days, but it is.
It is.
Mo doesn't want to.
It's a long silence there, Mo.
Well, no,
I thought you had something.
I'm sort of listening to all this, and part of what makes me think is that, like, for me, like, the experience of bias personally obviously makes you feel disempowered, and I don't like to be in that space. I like to be in a place of empowerment. And so if an organization I feel is inaccessible to me,
let's get personal with you.
Okay. Okay.
Let's get personal. So for those that don't listen to this frequently, Mo grew up as poor can be. And immigrant.
Yes.
He did not have the safeguard of a family. He did not have a college fund. He did not even know how to have goals or dreams beyond, I mean, they were pretty like right in front, survival.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And after many iterations of trying to figure out what Mo's place was in life. I mean, we've gone through his jobs before, they range from throwing pizzas in real estate to owning a clothing store and being a bartender and everything else in between. He decides to go to law school. Okay. Does he go to the best? Does he go to Harvard? Does he go to Yale?
No.
Does he almost not pass the SAT?
LSAT?
Oh, yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah.
LSAT.
Yeah.
Does he get into an unaccredited law school?
I do.
Does he work full time through law school?
Yes, I did.
And does he live not in squalor, but like not in an elegant situation?
No. my wife refused when we were dating. She refused to stay at my place. She would say, "You can come stay with me. I'm not staying at your apartment."
Because it was scary.
That happened to me too.
She didn't like it.
Yeah.
She didn't like it.
And so what firm will willingly interview someone that doesn't go to, a top, like this firm, like we did, because our mindset is very different.
Well, you didn't go to a big school either, right?
What are you talking about?
You know,
You're
My-
you're a
my
Harvard
school-
grad.
My
I believe at
school-
one time you said you had to go down an escalator to get
My
yours.
school was the old UPS, which was torn down because it was
Yeah.
an old Woolworth store, and we would get from floor to floor by going on the escalators.
Yeah.
Yes,
They don't
Brad-
have those at Harvard.
Yeah, it's now part of Seattle U, but I refuse to accept that I went to Seattle U because I didn't. I went to UPS, which no longer exists.
Mhm.
So the mindset is look at the person, and which is hard to do. It's hard to just look at the person, but it wasn't just us. Like he's a federal public defender for 14 years and at the top of his game.
I on the personal aspect.
So wait.
Okay,
So given
okay.
that background, right?
Yeah.
Like not what you would think, just even how to become a federal public defender, like that wasn't a given.
No, that wasn't a given. It was just, grit, scrappiness, and hard work.
And did you feel at a period of time earlier on in your career that you were judged for your law school compared to other lawyers?
I suffered professional bias. I suffered all that. I think that, this is a tough topic for me because there's a part of me that says like, this was an opportunity for me to grow and be empowered. And so I seized my power and I stepped into it and I found my opportunities. And like, there's a part of it is that I gave up a ton of my culture. If you met me when I first moved to this country, I was a different person.
Well, you didn't speak English.
I was going to say, could you? I didn't
Yes.
know.
Right. So like, when you're integrating, and when I talk about this, like I want to be part of the American narrative, and you're trying to integrate, you're going to have to give some things up, or you run the risk of being part of a homogenous group, which is I could have been part of the Middle Eastern culture, Middle Eastern values, and their cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, or I'm half Iranian, half Iraqi, that are like Arabic and Persian, and like their cultures where you can go be part of a community and have a family and like I wanted more, and I didn't know what it was, and I was like, you're right, I was constantly in survival mode, but I gave up a lot of that. So now when you talk about the bias, I look inward when I experience it, because I still do, and when I experience it, I use this word very carefully, blame myself. Like, you're not doing enough to integrate. You're not doing enough to adapt. Help them see you as not a threat or whatever they're perceiving you as. Help them see you, educate them, help them. And so that part, I don't know, I will admit partially is not a healthy type of thinking, but I think that it's helped me to succeed.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you say Mo from New York or my presence, these are like skill sets that I've invested years in developing and longing and belonging.
Mo is gentler and sweeter than I am in terms of collegiality, because you've heard the story of I was in deposition with Brad Moore in Bloomington, Illinois at State Farm. We were taking multiple depositions over many days. We had a vice president in there, and the other firm, which was the Helsel firm, which no longer exists, the senior partner in there, after like day three or something, in front of everyone, including the State Farm people, all of the attorneys, court reporter, the videographer, Brad was the videographer, said, and they all went to like Yale and Harvard, that whole firm. And he said, geez, Karen, now I know why your husband's divorcing you.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that.
And so I am more combative than Mo. That's why people will say stuff like that more to me. I don't have as many friends as Mo because my world has gotten small. My tolerance of I call it the white male hierarchy is small.
Yeah.
I don't have much of a tolerance anymore. I've quit all of the organizations I belong to, I quit ABOTA. and said, well, you guys should have had me be plaintiff trial lawyer of the year a long time ago. Bye. Good luck in the future getting more diversity. Always go out in a huff and something about diversity. I don't want to fight those battles anymore. I don't have time. I just want to do the things I like. But I did for years and years. I played the game. I watched what happened. And it's like, great.
Yeah. I hear you. I think I'm in a different place in my career, and I feel responsible I'm responsible and grateful for the circumstance I find myself in.
But I've seen you changed.
Yeah.
You don't roll over.
I don't roll over, but I feel like I have a sense of stewardship, because the fact that nobody could identify the talents that I truly had to bring to the practice of law, yet a very minority few people saw something in me and said, boy, on paper, man, you don't make sense. You're like, I don't get you. I like, what are you doing? Yep. And then he's like, but there's something there. Why don't you come here and let me see what you can do? Like, I wish that mindset was the mindset that the Washington State Bar Association could educate and implement within the institutions and the courts as well. Like,
they want the cookie cutter, Mo. People want and expect the cookie cutter, and they're looking at this cookie cutter, and that is ingrained starting in law school. You know, the cookie cutter, this is what a lawyer is. And they come out, we've talked about this before, the prototype lawyer, they come out, and all young lawyers want to do is look like a lawyer, act like a lawyer, and have people think that they're a lawyer. So imagine your dismay when you don't look like a lawyer and it's not working for you.
But if it's not working for you, but you've gotten into the organization, you have an opportunity. Like, you can like take that opportunity and do something with it. So like, if you're gonna,
one of us are not, I mean, we are both successful people. We're not here saying, oh my God, the system has screwed us. What we're here saying is like, chances are, if you are not of the majority, you from time to time will feel alone.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
But you're successful now. I'm successful now, but we weren't when we first started. But we went into the system with an attitude and a mindset.
I thought I was successful from the very beginning.
Okay, well, I didn't.
I was delusional, maybe.
You wrote a letter when you were very young that said
that's
you were
right.
going
That's
I know, right?
That's right.
I've always,
that's
you know.
right. Okay. All right.
Self-esteem has never been my issue.
No.
I would hope to leave this. What I'm doing is like it's a labor of love. I love my job. I love my work. I love being a lawyer. I want to leave it a little bit better than I found it.
What are our solutions? And then Cassie, we haven't even let you have any questions, but if there's questions, let us know. But what are some, you know, we've been kind of, I can't say that word, a little bit. What are some of our solutions? What are some of our suggestions?
Well, like I said, I think that, like I said before, I think you should start your own group that you could change that stuff on your own. Without doing that, I think that, like I said, doing the same thing that you're already doing.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure that more law firms are doing the same thing, where they're hiring different people than the Harvard and Yale only firms. And
no offense to Yale. I mean,
no,
Darcy
I'm not trying to say
we love
they're
Darcy.
incredible. They're incredible. They produce some of the greatest lawyers.
Darcy, you are very smart.
I would immediately say, before I worked here, if you asked me what law schools do you know, Harvard and Yale would have been the only ones.
And that's Ray and Darcy, and they are
they are very, very,
genius.
very good lawyers.
Genius. Yeah.
But I think that maybe not focusing on the names of the schools so much and focusing on the people more, which seems to be what you guys do here, can really make a difference.
Well, I think part of the thing about being a plaintiff lawyer anyway, if you really embrace it, is that there is a maverick nature to that practice. And that's not true for all of the practice of law. And of course, we're only speaking here about this topic in terms of plaintiff lawyers, trial lawyers, because there's so many other areas of the bar that are way more diverse than that. Our area is, you know, a civil justice champions, civil rights people. is abysmal. It's still very, very low.
I think my solution is that, when you see things on paper, understand that there's stories behind the paper that you're looking at, and talk to people about their lives. Like, what did you do when you were growing up? Like, what was it like at the home? Or, what was your first job? And if you get to know people, you understand that there are strengths that you would never see on a piece of paper. And then you will understand, oh, wow, this person has value. And how can I take that value and enhance it in my firm and make my profession better? That's sort of what my thinking is as a solution.
Like what? Be more concrete.
Be more concrete is when you are interviewing people for jobs, or when you're making decisions about who belongs to an organization, and your organization has a set criteria, you look beyond those standards and procedures, and look beyond it and look at the essence of a person. And the only way you can do that is spend some quality time with them, speak to them, get to know them. That's what I mean.
What about you, Karen?
I've given up.
You've given up.
She's given up.
I don't remember. When we were asking the question about what you would have done in the situation where the court reporter asked Karen if she was the interpreter, what would you have done?
Oh, he wanted to go back in there and
No, I know, but I'm just asking him.
I wanted to go there and say to her that, because she didn't never apologize, is say, you need to apologize. That's incredibly hurtful to one. I understand that you may have made a mistake, but when you were told that she is a lawyer, that you should have apologized. I think that an apology matters. I think saying I'm sorry still matters.
And do you think that you felt that way because you were embarrassed that it happened?
No, because I'm protective of her.
Okay.
And it's just like it's because she's my partner.
Like I said, Jack was
I'm very protective.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed every time I hear somebody that somebody did that to you. I mean, I just don't think, and I don't think that way. I mean, I wouldn't walk into a room, like I said, I wouldn't walk into a room and automatically assume that any of the people in that room are an attorney or anything else, unless the videographer, he had a bunch of equipment. Court reporter, they usually have a laptop and they usually identify themselves as the court reporter. But if I'm somewhere else, I don't know if you're a paralegal or a legal assistant or an attorney.
Yeah.
You could be anything. And I think that people in general now just get a little too comfortable with thinking that everything is the norm. Yeah. And that's why stuff like that happens.
I make these mistakes, but I just apologize.
Yeah. Because that's what you should do.
Yeah. That's just, I'm sorry. I thought I apologize.
Well, so, I grew up, I'm racially ambiguous, so I grew up with this being my norm. So a lot of it is it's not surprising to me. I've told you the story of when my kids were little and I was home a lot more. I lived on Sammamish Plateau, suburban Microsoft paradise. And there was not a week that went by that someone door-to-door people would come by to sell something, or the Mormons, the missionaries. There's constantly, it was in the 80s. So a lot more than there is, 80s and 90s, where now people don't really come to your house door. And I can't even think of almost any occasion where anyone ever came up to me and started trying to sell me something. They always thought either I was a babysitter or the help. And there were times when they did ask me if my parents were at home. And I would always say, no, I'm sorry, they're not at home. And I didn't take any offense to it after a while. I just thought, I'm just going to go with it because I don't really want to, hear their spiel. And I'd say, I'm sorry. And then there were times when they just would knock and say, hi, are you the person of the house? And I said, oh, no, I'm sorry, they're not home right now.
Yeah.
So
you started using it as a defense for yourself.
So I am not a person that this is like so shocking and earth shattering that it's terrible. It gives me a lot of empathy for people like the physician I told you about.
Yeah.
Where there's still so much prejudice and bias. It just is there. It is ingrained. And then when you look at our bars, it's because look at the stereotypes persist because the people that are the loudest are still the stereotypes. That's I mean, they kind of are. And I have I will admit, I made controversial choices when I was a board member in my last years on the trial lawyer bar, including the naming of the awards. I voted against the renaming of the Trial Lawyer of the Year award, the Thomas Chambers Trial Lawyer of the Year award, even though he was my number one mentor. I loved him. And I was against Gerhard Letzing being called the Gerhard Letzing Pillar of Justice Award. All of the awards are named after
white guys.
So it's just like the statues. If you put all these statues that we have all around the country of all the white guys, like there's no more space.
Yeah. Wow.
And the thing, like, I'm very involved in AAJ where people collect chair awards like they're nothing. I'm chair of this and I'm chair of that. I'm chair of this. And there's no space. Maybe they are progressive at heart, maybe. But by taking that space up, look at all the presidents. Who are the presidents currently of all of the organizations in the legal organizations that are not specialty minority bar associations? Like, it's like the time that I got into a thing with, DART and the president at the time said, well, we had a female, she just died. And I said, yeah, well, she's a dead female. So like, and then he said, well, we are merit-based, you have to get elected, and women can join Washington Women Lawyers and these other bars. And this was in the 90s when this happened. And I said, well, I will never, ever aspire to join your organization. And when I look at all the specialty bars, as good as they are, and I think they serve a great purpose, and super lawyers, what a, no offense. And I have my very own opinions about super lawyers, which is not, I won't say. They did put me on the cover once, so I have to be nice. Do I? But they finally had to just create their own section for women because there was none. So then women got their own section. Like, but do I don't want to be known as a great woman trial lawyer. I just want to be a great trial lawyer.
Couple of things. One, the Washington State Bar Association, the president is a person of color.
Okay.
But wait. And
saw that.
And then the M3 Federal Bar Association. I'm going to be president of that organization.
But currently,
I'm saying
who are you
going to be. I'm vice president.
Who are you bookmarked by?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, right? And then
give it time to change.
Okay,
Karen.
just give it a change, right? But the other thing is, you were talking about the names of the awards, and I just realized something is that my name is Muhammad.
Huh?
That is what I was born. That was I know my name, but it was my given name, Muhammad Ali Hamoudi. And I was called Muhammad Ali when I was a child growing up in the Middle East. And when I came to this country,
they would say, Muhammad Ali, what are you doing?
No, they would say Mo.
Oh.
And people started to say Mo.
No, I mean, when you were a child.
When you were a child. No, they would say, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali.
I love it.
Muhammad Ali. That's what they would say. But
wait,
when
say it lovingly.
Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Muhammad Ali. But when I came to this country, they started to say Mo.
So they started to say Mo.
They started to say Mo, and I took it. And I remember always going home, and my friends would come to the home and would say Mo. And you would hear my mom say, it's Muhammad Ali. And, you talk, you talk about these names, and I'm just like thinking like, I think I conceded, or I gave in.
You assimilated.
When I was a child.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, I can't turn back the clock. It's hard. It's just like my mind is like completely rewired.
Mo, we were supposed to have this conversation, and by the end of it, you were supposed to have a conviction and feel way better. And you're going in reverse.
I know, because you just talked about the names of the awards and stuff. And I was like, And I was just thinking about, I
Okay.
just remembered that name,
Triggered you.
it just made me remember that.
Names
You know.
are important.
That's so interesting. Do we have any questions?
I don't know, Cassie, do
People
we
are
have any
too
questions?
scared.
No, we do. We have some questions.
Okay.
Okay,
Hold on,
so
we can't hear you.
Hold on for a second.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
we have a question. What are the ways that we can pressure the bars to do more than study the diversity issue every 10 years or so? They do a study and then the recommendations are not implemented.
I mean, all we can do is like, I think what we do is good, which is we talk about it and we don't act like it's just wonderful and we respect it. And we, you know, people are so apathetic. They see that the few people that look at the numbers, which most people don't, but the few people that look at the numbers outside of the circle that did the numbers, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. So for me, because I'm going to become president of the M3 Federal Bar Association, I'm going to reach out to the president of the Washington State Bar Association and create a partnership and say, I am really interested in this aspiration. And I believe it's engagement, engaging the younger generation that's coming up, empowering them that this is their space and they can change it. And it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's the solution I think of off the top of my head to answer that question.
Well, it's also having, you know, more diversity in all aspects. And don't get me wrong, there has been so much strides made, especially in our state, in the bar, in many of the various bar associations. And then there are similar bar associations that there has been no strides made. And where I believe that you see the most strides and the least strides, you're looking at the 80% and the 20%. That's why I have a thing about elite organizations. I think elite organizations are problematic by nature because they select and they nurture the elite. And like I've been involved in organizations where once you were in the organization at this level, you never left it, even if you were no longer like on a board. You're no longer on the board, but you're still in it. So like this is an AAJ where the board, literally there's like 45 members of it, because once you're done, you're out. And who's out? They're all, 95% or more white males. And so it's that space of make room for other people. You don't have to be president of everything. Give someone else a chance. Your ego, just check it a little bit. Do you really need to be president of 5 organizations? 2 at the same time or 3? Yeah. Why do you need to do that? That lack of self-examination. But maybe it's not even lack of self-examination. The plaintiff bar, where there's competition for market share, that's where the alpha male is going to thrive, especially white alpha male. I'm being very racist in my conversation. It's generalities, okay? Not every
white male is bad.
Some of my best friends are white males. In fact, all of my partners used to be white male until Gemma joined.
But also some of the best stewards of helping diversify the bar are white male. And they go out of, and so because they understand and they say, hey, look, I'm going to be a leader and I'm going to help guide the organization.
Everybody knows who those people are.
Yeah.
Who have to be president of everything, one after the other, who are there to build a presence of their law firm. Like, who they are.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll say, as a layperson, I would never, like all of those accolades that you're talking about that they've had or being on the top of boards. If I was looking for an attorney, that's not what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Well, some people are. They're dazzled. You should have seen the badges of honor of this one lawyer that we saw the other week. The whole firm is like, where can we buy all those badges?
Oh, he had a lot of badges. It made me think of back home, the military.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's immediately what I thought of when you said it too. I was like, all those guys that have them all in their chest.
and then what's really just like, what some of the things that just kill me, and I know we're almost close, is is like, again, like I know these are the same kind of attorneys who then say, well, we should get another group. Let's create another society.
Well, yeah, like I said.
And you have to be tested to show that you can do this X area practice of law. So now you can, and they got it certified through a bar association. So now, oh gosh, now if you want to do this kind of law and get this badge, you have to go through our test and get certified that you can do it. And then and then we're going to refer cases to all of ourselves. So this is it's pervasive, it's invasive.
Yeah.
There's just a lack of awareness of the dial. And because plaintiff lawyers, the really successful ones, are so aggressive, when left unchecked, that's what happens. There's no space.
Can we have another question, Cassie?
We have one from Justice Faith Ireland. Do people these days pay attention to how they dress? When I was a rare female trial lawyer in 1970, I dressed to the nines, including a hat, so I wasn't taken for a court clerk.
That's a good
one.
one.
What a great question by Justice Ireland.
And of course, she is iconic, and I will always fall short of her sartorial magnificence. But I have a picture of her because she did one of my podcasts, my first year, of her with, the group of men. She went to law school with my mom. And it's crazy because she's like me, like we're small. And then everyone else, we only go up to the shoulders of everyone else. Yeah. And so there's this misapprehension of like small is weak, feminine is weak, like,
But I guess my question would be,
clothing.
Does the clothing make a difference?
I think
I was wearing a jacket yesterday.
Yeah, the clothing does. Unfortunately,
do I look like the lawyer today? Do I look like a lawyer? Who looks like more like the lawyer?
Neither of you do, actually, I would say.
No, I'm wearing my hokas. I got my cardigan and jeans.
You both look pretty casual right now. That's what I would say.
But if you close your eyes and you're listening to us,
do
we sound like we're lawyers?
Yes.
Okay.
Dress does,
especially in court.
Dress in court, totally.
And you dress up when you're in court.
Always.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't excuse the judge from leaning over and saying, no. Are you a lawyer? I would look like a total lawyer.
Yeah.
I went to going into TSA with Jack and them thinking I was his client. I was wearing suit.
Yeah.
Like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Well, I can't answer that question because I don't think there is anything you can do.
Though.
Good question.
That is a good question.
And from the great Justice Ireland, who, trailblazer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any more, Cassie?
We have one more. Karen, did you consider asking the reporter, why are you asking me if I am the interpreter?
Oh, good question.
Yeah. Because I'm just not, I didn't want to engage. I didn't want to answer her. I didn't want to engage. I'm just, part of it, I think, is because it's happened too much.
That's what I was going to say. You didn't kind of want to lower yourself down to that.
I just am tired of it. I've gone through all of the different scenarios of what could I have said? Should I try this way? Should I do that way? I've tried this way. And I mean, I'm not even talking that it's happened to me 20 or 30 times. It's happened to me so much more than that. So much more. So yes. And it's accumulated. And I just told her I was a plaintiff lawyer, but I was cold.
Yeah, because you've heard it so many times now.
But good suggestion. I think that I just didn't want to get into you
didn't want to start something.
I could have escalated that. If I had asked her that and she had not given me a good answer, I would have escalated it.
That question also is an opportunity for grace.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
It's an opportunity to give the person
but
grace.
I wasn't feeling graceful.
Yeah, you weren't feeling graceful.
I was,
Yes.
if she had said anything wrong, it would have been over.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
If everyone could please put your bar number in the chat, that would be wonderful. We had a lot of great comments from Catherine Clark. And
hi, Kat.
I would like to invite anyone, if they would like to speak, I can give you access to your microphone. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, let her speak if she's still there.
Yeah, Catherine, let's see. Here she is.
We kind of see Catherine.
I see her.
Just
Well,
a
hang
picture,
on.
yeah.
Let me figure out, how do I get my video on? Not that bright. No, I really wanted to thank you guys. And hi, Justice, hi, Faith. Faith has been so kind to me over the years. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you can't see me. So look at me. I'm a white lady, right? I am Catherine Clark. That is German, Swiss, English, Viking right there. The stereotype in my beautiful silk blouse, which I still love. But I don't come from much. I don't come from a stable family. I come from an abusive background. We know that my brother was murdered almost 9 years ago. I had to earn my way in this world, just like you, Karen, and just like you, Muhammad Ali, as I would say it. But people think something of me because of how I physically present,
Yeah.
right? And so I just so appreciate your comments about you can't, you got to look at the paper and you got to look at the person.
Yeah.
And because I went to Gonzaga, I bombed the LSAT because I'm also dyslexic. Most people don't know that about me. Although I was a little more public about it this summer. And so I have had to, like everybody I think on this call, bust it hard and get good results. I was legacy at Yale though, and I turned it down because I wanted to go to the UW and be a student athlete. And that's
Whoa.
exactly what I did. And now we know that I work with student athletes, mostly football players. And some of them come from, as my comment said, from backgrounds that are not even remotely close to mine. And one example, and I want everyone to work on this really hard. I'm someone who lives an international life. My partner, Mark, is from New Zealand. And we have family throughout the planet. And one of my interns a few years ago was a young man named Edifwan Ulo-Fosio, who plays for now the Cleveland Browns. He was a linebacker on that national championship run team. And everybody over at the UW calls him Eddie. His first name is spelled Edefun. And I said, no, I will not do that. In the presence of his parents, I refer to him as Edifwan. And you can just see this already very large human being get even bigger when you pronounce his name right. When I was young, people called me Kathy. Can you imagine? Me? No. So I just really wanted to acknowledge you both for putting yourselves out there and talking about your stories and really emphasizing you can't tell by looking, you can't tell by the paper, you got to talk to people. So thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Love the comment.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
much. Well,
Well, that was good.
that's the
This is
end
our
of the-
first live CLE.
yeah, but
yeah.
this is pretty much how we do it.
Yeah, this is what it's like every time.
We just talk and talk. But yeah, thank you for Cassie and Mike for enabling us to do today. And the thing about a question or topic like this is it raises more questions than we even started with.
It's
And
true.
so there is no solution. There's just continuation. And hopefully people will think about some of the stuff that we said, some of the, kind of more radical things that we said. Like there should be exclusion. I mean, exclusion,
Yeah,
inclusion instead of exclusion in our legal groups.
Yes.
Why do we have so much exclusion? Why don't we have more inclusion?
I'm going to close with a song.
Okay, here we go. Are you going to sing it?
You have to be carefully taught. You have to be carefully taught before it's too late. You have to be carefully taught before you're 6, 7, or 8. That's from Rogers and Hammerstein.
There you go.
Well, that's a good way to end it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, that's all for today.
Until next time.